Right, the international break is over, and it's finally time to turn our attention back to Celtic. It's been a long couple of weeks without club football, and while these breaks always feel like they drag on forever, they do give us a moment to reset. But now it's full focus on what's ahead, and make no mistake, the next stretch of games could define Celtic's entire season. Let's start with the international side of things, because although 11 Celtic players were away representing their countries, not many of them racked up serious minutes. That's not necessarily a bad thing. Mind you, fresh legs might be exactly what we need for what's coming next. Out of the 11 players, 10 were involved in senior football, while young Kobe Donovan featured for Scotland's under-21s, clocking up over 2 hours across his appearances. Kasper Schmeichel played the full 2 matches for Denmark and even wore the captain's armband. Same for Marcelo Sarachi, who captained Uruguay. Those two definitely had solid international breaks, but most of the others barely featured. Anthony Ralston got just over 100 minutes. Oh Hyangyu played one full 90 and sat out the other, and Sebastian Tianki saw only 45 minutes across 4 potential halves. Kieran Tierney played less than half an hour. Benjamin Negrin, Cameron Carter-Vickers, Dyson Maeda, and Liam Scales didn't see the pitch at all, each for different reasons. Still, looking at that group, Carter-Vickers, Maeda, Scales, and even Tierney, you'd imagine they're all in strong contention to start against Dundee. So the lack of international minutes might actually work in Celtic's favor. Now, during this break, we did get a couple of bits of content from the club, including some unfiltered footage from Lennoxtown. It gave fans a glimpse into the training ground and showed a few key players back in action. Liam Scales was spotted after missing Ireland's games due to a personal bereavement. Good to see him back and looking sharp. Kelechi Afani, who wasn't on international duty, also made his return after what looked like a short break. Same goes for Vasilis Barkas, Ralston, and Tierney. But not everyone was present. Schmeichel, Sarachi, and Maeda weren't seen, though Brendan Rodgers has confirmed the full squad would be reunited in training by Friday. That gives them a couple of key sessions before Sunday's match. Speaking of Brendan Rodgers, he gave an interview to Celtic TV during the week. Now, he didn't reveal too much, but what stood out was his emphasis on the need to reset and refocus. He talked about embracing the challenge ahead, and it's clear he sees the next few weeks as crucial. Because let's face it, Celtic have been inconsistent so far this season. There have been moments, flashes of quality, brief periods of control, but overall, it's not been vintage Celtic. And now we're entering a 7-match stretch that will tell us everything we need to know about this team's direction. It all begins with Dundee on Sunday, and let's be honest, every match feels tricky right now. There's no real confidence that Celtic will roll over anyone, even at home. First games back after an international break are always unpredictable. Then just a few days later, there's a massive Europa League clash on Thursday night against Sturm Graz. That's a must-win, no question. Then it's away to Hearts, who are flying high in the table and always make it difficult at Tynecastle. After that, a midweek league game against Falkirk at Celtic Park, which on paper should be straightforward, but nothing feels guaranteed with this side. Then comes the big one, the League Cup semi-final against Rangers. That match needs no build-up, but we'll dive into that more in a bit. After that, it's straight into another Europa League tie, this time away to Midtjylland in Denmark. Depending on how things go against Sturm Graz, that fixture could become even more important. Honestly, even getting 4 points out of those 2 European games would only bring us to 5 overall. And if the magic number to qualify is somewhere around 11, Celtic are really up against it. And finally, before the next international break, there's a home fixture against Kilmarnock. That one kicks off at 4 in the afternoon at Celtic Park, which went under the radar for many. But it wraps up a critical period that includes domestic pressure and European survival hopes hanging in the balance. Now, Rodgers seems calm about it all. He said it's only a matter of time before things click. And sure, maybe that's just manager speak, but it's also possible he genuinely believes this group is on the verge of something. That said, if he wants to turn belief into results, he's going to have to be bold. The midfield setup we've seen so far just isn't working. There's enough evidence now. It's not functioning. Something's got to give. Whether that's bringing in someone like Paulo Bernardo or even taking a gamble on a less conventional pick like Misha Balikwisha, Rodgers needs to shake things up. Playing it safe hasn't worked. There's also the right-wing situation, which remains a real concern. But maybe Alistair Johnston, if he gets back to his best at right back, can help cover some of that ground. Either way, tactical bravery will be key. Because if we keep playing at the level we've been seeing, flat, unconvincing, disconnected, then this run of games is going to punish us hard. We're not facing pushovers here. These are solid teams in form, and many of these fixtures are high stakes. Now, let's talk about the off-field noise, because it's been impossible to ignore. The Green Brigade have announced they won't be attending the semi-final at Hampton against Rangers. That comes after they received zero ticket allocation for the game due to the SFA charging Celtic over pyrotechnic use in last season's final. As a result, the club took a 500 ticket reduction for this next game. The Green Brigade have taken a stand, saying they reject collective punishment but won't be attending in protest. They've also called out the club for what they describe as exploiting fans, with reports suggesting standard tickets were repackaged into high-priced hospitality packages. Prices between £150 to £300, which many see as a way to squeeze more money from fans while reducing accessibility. Now, whether or not you agree with their stance, their absence will be felt. The atmosphere at Hampton has already been called into question in recent cup games. And with both the Green Brigade and Boys Celtic also reportedly skipping the game in solidarity, the stands could be significantly quieter than usual. Some say it won't matter, that what counts is winning on the pitch, not who shouts loudest off it. But there's no denying that a vocal, passionate Celtic support gives the players a boost. And when you're up against Rangers in a knockout match, every little edge helps. The truth is, there's a real disconnect right now between the boardroom and sections of the support. That tension isn't new, but it's grown louder. The frustration around ticketing, fan treatment, and perceived commercialization of the matchday experience has boiled over. And when it starts affecting who turns up to the biggest games of the season, it's a sign that things are not as they should be. Adding to this tension is the latest from the Celtic Fans Collective. They've been gaining momentum, and at this week's meeting in Glasgow, they'll be discussing strategy, how best to unify and represent supporters across the fan base. They've already announced plans to introduce an interim steering committee, and they're talking seriously about match day and economic action. One potential flashpoint could be the home game against Kilmarnock, not just because it's the last before the break, but because it coincides with the club's founding anniversary and the AGM. That could turn into a moment of real protest or a show of unity, depending on how things unfold. So while the spotlight naturally falls on Brendan Rodgers and his team over this crucial 7-game stretch, there's just as much heat building off the pitch. Because for Celtic right now, the tension isn't just in the league table or the Europa League group. It's in the very fabric of the club, with supporters more divided than they've been in a long time. What's meant to be unity heading into a defining part of the season is beginning to feel like fragmentation, and it's something that can't be ignored much longer. Rodgers might want to focus strictly on tactics and performances, and who can blame him? That's where he makes his mark. But when the noise from the stands, or in this case the absence of it, becomes impossible to separate from the product on the pitch, you know the situation is at a tipping point. The Green Brigade deciding not to attend the semi-final is more than a protest. It's a warning shot, a sign that a large chunk of the support feels increasingly disconnected from the decisions being made at board level. And there's something uncomfortable about the way it's all playing out. Supporters are being told they're being punished collectively, yet at the same time, premium-priced hospitality packages are being offered up to the highest bidder. It sends a message, and not a good one. Because at a time when unity is being preached, when we're told to back the team and push through adversity together, the actions from the top are telling fans that loyalty can be monetized, that atmosphere can be replaced by revenue. And if that's really the direction the club is taking, then we might be looking at a future where passion is sold off, bit by bit, to the point where there's nothing left but a sterile version of Celtic Park and Hampton filled with tourists and polite applause. That might sound dramatic, but for those who've grown up with Celtic as part of their identity, it's a real fear. And that's why movements like the Celtic Fans Collective are gaining traction. Because it's no longer just about what's happening on the pitch, it's about the soul of the club. That next meeting in Glasgow isn't just a get-together. It's an organizing session for people who genuinely believe the fan voice is being lost. Talk of economic protest, of coordinated matchday action, of turning fixtures into statements. That shows a fan base no longer content to simply grumble on social media. It's moving towards something structured, and when supporters begin to organize like that, it changes the tone completely. All of this could be background noise, of course, if the team were flying. If Celtic were smashing opponents and sitting clear at the top of the table, if the football was sparkling and European progression looked certain, maybe people would tolerate more. But that's not the case right now. This team has stuttered through the season so far. The late goal against Motherwell before the break gave us a lift, sure, but it didn't mask the issues that have been there from the start. The midfield still looks unbalanced. The right-hand side still feels like a blind spot. There's no real rhythm to the play, and when results come, they often feel like they're dragged out rather than earned with authority. That's why this next run of games is so massive. It's not just about keeping pace in the league. It's about proving that this version of Celtic can rise above the turbulence, both internal and external. Because if we get to the next international break having stumbled through again, dropping points, struggling in Europe, and failing to make a statement against Rangers, then the questions start piling up fast. Questions about RODGERS. Questions about recruitment. Questions about direction. And those questions won't just be asked by pundits. They'll be shouted from the stands, or more worryingly, whispered from the empty seats. It's a strange atmosphere right now. This sense that we're on the brink of something, but no one knows whether it's a breakthrough or a breakdown. You can feel it in the way fans talk, the way they look ahead to fixtures with anxiety rather than excitement. Hearts away isn't just a tough game. It feels like a test of nerve. Europe isn't just about qualification, it's about credibility. And that Rangers match at Hampton could be a fork in the road moment for this team and for this season. And yet, as always, there's hope. There's always hope with Celtic, because this club, no matter how turbulent the surroundings, has a habit of rising when it matters. Maybe this run is exactly what we need: 7 games, high stakes, little margin for error. It forces focus. It demands leadership. And it might just force RODGERS' hand to make the changes that have been screaming out to be made. Maybe Paulo Bernardo does get a proper run. Maybe a new front three clicks into gear. Maybe the squad finally finds its chemistry and produces the kind of football that reminds everyone what this team is capable of. Before we proceed, subscribe to our channel and enable notifications to receive all exclusive news about Celtic FC. Don't miss any details about your favorite team. It's extremely important for Celtic FC fans. There's a growing murmur around Parkhead, and it's getting louder by the hour. Word on the streets of Glasgow is that Celtic have pulled off a sensational move, bringing in Romanian striker MUNTEANU, a name that's already stirring the imagination of the Hoops faithful. While official confirmation remains under wraps, whispers from sources close to Lennoxtown suggest that Brendan Rodgers has finally found the new matador he's been craving up front. MUNTEANU, just 23, has been lighting up the Romanian league with his ruthless finishing and fearless presence inside the box. Scouts reportedly flagged him months ago, but few believe Celtic would actually pull the trigger. Yet, if the rumors hold true, the green and white have beaten several European clubs to his signature, and that set tongues wagging across Scottish football. Those who followed MUNTEANU's rise describe him as a blend of raw power and instinctive precision, a striker who lives for the chaos of the penalty area. Some even compare his movement to a young Henrik Larsson, a dangerous comparison, perhaps, but one that hints at the excitement brewing among supporters. RODGERS, known for molding young talents into system players, might just have found his next project, or perhaps his missing piece. The timing couldn't be better. Celtic have been accused of lacking bite in the final third, particularly in tight domestic clashes where chances come few and far between. With Rangers breathing down their necks in the title race, this move, if true, could be a statement of intent from the board. There's even talk that MUNTEANU was spotted in the West End last night, though no photos have surfaced yet. Still, fans are buzzing on social media, debating whether this Romanian arrival could become the next cult hero under the Parkhead lights. Nothing's official, but one thing's certain: Celtic have set the rumor mill spinning again. And if MUNTEANU truly is RODGERS' new weapon, the Scottish Premiership might just have a new name to fear. Hello, fan. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, as it means a lot to Celtic FC. Also, share your opinion about the news in the comments below. See you in the next video.